Welcome to Women Leading AI, where we are having serious conversations about what it looks like as women who are shaping the future of artificial intelligence. Today we have a special guest with us, and she is so many things. I mean, she got so many accolades. I don't even want to start because I don't want to leave anything out. But the main thing that we're going to talk to her about is her journey as it goes with AI and her new book that she's got coming out. So let's jump right in it. Shakita, welcome to Women Leading AI.
First of all, thank you. I'm honored to be in the building with some amazing women, also in AI. Yes. Let's clap it up for ourselves on that one. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah. So what perpetuated you to even get into the world of AI, first of all?
Well, to be honest, my journey started when I was a teenager. So I was very much blessed to be in an after-school program that allowed me, I think I was around the age like 14, 15 years old, and it allowed me the space to actually build my very first computer. And, I grew up, really, I like to tell people that I grew up in the projects of Dayton, Ohio, right? So buying a computer was not something that my family was going to be able to really, truly afford. So to get that opportunity to be in that after-school program and get my hands on tech, it was so powerful. And it really was the opening door for me and my love for technology. So it's been a part of my journey in the space of getting into AI is because anything that's the next big thing in tech, I'm like, how do I get involved? How do I learn about it? I need to know what's going on in tech. And I've always been that way. And it started with the after school program.
It's so powerful. We forget sometimes how important it is for these after school programs to be available to us in the public school system. I came up in private school, so we had those things. But when we think about the public school system and definitely how it's changing and they're removing a lot of the arts and a lot of these programs out, we need to be advocating for those things to stay in the school system. Is that right?
Absolutely. And it's an area that, unfortunately, they're losing a lot of dollars, but it creates the opportunity for the next generation. So I'm a big advocate for that as well. Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow, that's so awesome. So we're focusing on beyond the tools, building intelligent businesses that scale.
Yes.
So based on that focus, tell me more about what you're doing.
Thank you for that question. It's actually a big part of my framework, which is called Mindvelocity. So the reason why I really put it together is because my enterprise experience has always put me in the space of technology. But now with open AI, open source coding, the technology that has been mostly only available behind the closed doors of corporations are now openly available to everyone. And I started to see an opportunity to yourself. There's a which is a great thing. There's an increase in the number of businesses that are being started or growing or looking for their new avenue. But it's just like, where do we start? And so I created Mindvelocity, where I have the 4 phases that I like to say. You got to see it, you got to score it, you got to sustain it, and then you got to scale it.
That's good.
And what I mean by this, I don't care what you're starting, whether it's existing or you're a startup, you always want to start with understanding the state of where you are. And so some people want to just jump right into the technology and they waste a lot of money or they build the wrong thing that's not really bringing them a high return on their investment. And so with Mindvelocity, we always start with, let's diagnose the state of your organization, your business, and then score it so you know what to prioritize. And to your point, with the state of AI, how do we make sure we're implementing the right thing so you can actually scale your business? And then I like to say, then you can keep the pulse because this technology is always going to be evolving.
That is so true. So we know now that many leaders are rushing to adopt AI, and you kind of hinted on that a little bit ago. When we look at that, what is the difference between actually adopting the tools and truly integrating it into your systems or your business?
Yes, great question. You're right. Because AI is a new buzzword, it carries a lot of funding opportunities.
Yeah.
You know, and with anything, you want to just grab your hands into it, right? But to your point, like, how do you make sure that we're adopting the right tools? And I know it's probably going to sound like a broken record, but sometimes you don't have to just jump into a new tool. You go back and just assess, what do you have in your toolkit today, right? So everybody probably has emails, right? You don't need to go out and probably buy a new email. Right? So my focus is like the ecosystem. Like, what do you build around? How do you use the new tools or expand the tools you have to build around what you have? And what I mean by that, for example, people may use Google Workspace, and they may also use Slack today. Well, you don't necessarily have to just jump to the next thing that offers you the same workspace and team collaboration. You think about it differently. How do I use AI to integrate that data? How do I pull from Google Workspace? How do I actually pull from Slack and have that information talking to each other in a way that I can leverage it to really see what's going on in the state of my business? So that's just one example where sometimes you don't always have to go after the shiny toy. I know it looks good. I know it looks good, right? I'm guilty of it too. I like a shiny toy. But every now and then, you just need to take a step back and be like, okay, I'm throwing a lot of money out there. What makes sense for my business? And just because someone advertises one tool, it may not be the right tool for your business.
That is so good. I experienced that when I first got into AI, and someone saw me comment on Alicia's I don't know, I think it was a summit or something, and someone saw me comment. So they reached out to me individually and said, hey, you know a lot about, whatever this particular thing was? And I was like, yeah, I do. And so they said, I need AI in my business. And I'm like, well, what do you need AI to do? And he's like, I needed to do everything. I was like, cool. No. Because that's what they do. They don't know. And I think that's one of the things that's so important about what we get the opportunity to do is to bring AI literacy to the table to make sure people understand that it's not always about the tool. Tools are going to change.
Yes.
If you don't have the right leadership in what you're doing is amazing framework.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You created the Mindvelocity framework. Tell us more about that.
Yes. So, funny story behind it. I was actually talking to my coach, which I'll give him a shout out because he did help me to be a bestseller. So Dr. Fred, people that know Dr. Fred knows him. But we were actually having a conversation about my background and what I've done in my career. And through that conversation, he just kind of was like, the way your mind thinks is very much unique. And he was like, you need something around mind, right? And I started to really go back into my toolkit, right? And was like, mind. And then, of course, you always, with anything, if you want a framework that's going to scale and be your own, I had to look at, okay, what's out there? What can I actually trademark? What can I, make it my own? And I started to kind of play with words, and everything was really, okay, yes, it's about getting what's in your mind out of your mind, and then putting it through a blueprint that will help you have that velocity. And the reason why I like velocity is what I like to say. There's a difference between speed and velocity. Like speed, you can just be going. You can be going fast and then right into a wall, right? With velocity, you have direction, you have purpose. And so that's really what gave me the Mind Velocity framework. And it was a fit for me because I always say I help businesses transform strategy into a successful execution because of that mindset.
Wow.
That is so good.
That is good.
That is so good. So it's not just getting the strategy. It's actually executing it.
Yes.
I love that.
Executing.
Can
Yes.
you walk us through like just a part of that? Because I was like,
Executing.
Yes. No, because people always think just because you're a startup, a solopreneur, like I like to say, or perhaps you're in an enterprise. I've seen the same things happen in Fortune 500 companies. We'll throw a lot of money at something. We have a big vision, but we haven't really done the connection of taking a vision and then relating it down to even the front line right? And because of that experience, I see the same thing happening. I've been guilty of doing it myself, right? And to your point, you'll have this vision, you'll have this strategy, but you need that blueprint. And your blueprint, well, may not look the same as the next person who has a similar vision. So you really, that's where with Mindvelocity, it's peeling back. I like to say, taking off the makeup, right? To really see the state of your organization, the state of your business, and then really thinking through what's the right pieces that we need to connect so that you can get your strategy and make it a successful execution. And then how fast can we get there? And what is the cost to get you there? Those are all important things to consider. Yes, you can, if you got money to blow, right? You can blow the money and you can jump out there and just do it. But why not save some money? Or why not get there in a smarter and faster way while also thinking about the safety around that too?
That is
So
good.
you've created this framework. And so what type of businesses have you worked with this framework?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is industrial and systems engineering, and I worked with some of the big companies when it comes to logistics, supply chain, and transportation. Also under like technology umbrella, which have made tremendous strides in everybody's day-to-day life. And you would think that's probably the clientele that Shakita's going after. No. So the clientele I actually love working with is in the service industries.
Okay.
So I like to say these are businesses that you either have multiple locations. So think about in the food and beverage, they might have a food truck, multiple locations, but they're operating in silos. And because I like to create ecosystems, I like to help those clients, again, see where you are and how can we integrate those operations. So from a leadership standpoint, you can see your full ecosystem of your business under one umbrella. That's really the thing that I'm passionate about and what I really decided to focus on when I launched Align Strategy Partners as an AI consultant and solution design company.
Wow. So you deal with workflow as well.
Yes.
Wow.
That is really good.
It gets to tap into my process engineering side,
That's what I
right?
was
And my
gonna say.
love for tech. So, but not that I can't, if anybody out there needs an opportunity where you need a whole supply chain system, yes, I can build that as well. But my passion is really taking, I would say, thriving businesses and helping them really explode and scale so they can be the next enterprise.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I wanted to kind of tap into something about like the human side of AI, because I know that's a lot of the fear that we are seeing, especially with women. What do you see happening with the women, well, not necessarily just women, but as a whole, when it comes to the human and AI connection?
Yeah, it's and actually that was one of the passions behind my book, which let me drop the title real quick.
Come on.
Mindvelocity, the mind behind the millions, the brain behind the billions. And the reason why that was so important is because, I just heard a stat on a radio station today, 600,000 plus women have been laid off in this new political era. And a lot of that has been Black women. Right. And when I think about even my own journey in corporations, right, it has been a lot of time the women that has been carrying those organizations. So they bring talent, they bring the thought of thinking through things more minute as well as deeper and wide, and also thinking about the compassion side of what it means, right? And there's these natural attributes, I think, of being a female that we always bring to corporations, but now it's about building our own empire. And the reason why I like to say that is because if anybody remembers when Bitcoin came out, right? I was one of those people. I was talking to my friends. I think at the time, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I think it was like $200 to $500, right?
I know.
And to be honest, we were buying a little bit, but then we didn't even know what to do with it. And then I was also like, this is still new, but I knew the tech was something huge, right?
Yes.
I knew the tech behind Bitcoin was huge. And I kicked myself today because what is it like? I don't know, 250,000.
250,000.
Thank
I
you.
think.
So if I would have been, instead of like maybe getting my hair and nails done that week, that back then, or try to go to somebody's party or blow some money, just think how much money I would have in my pocket now. And that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, now AI is moving even faster than Bitcoin.
Yes.
So there is a need for women to take all of that talent, that skill, the very thing that's probably been telling you, I can do more,
Yeah.
and then put it back into yourself, tap into AI, and move faster.
That's good.
Woo!
That's so good.
Goodness.
That's so good. I'm
Goodness.
excited about this book. I really want to dig a little bit more into the book, and what you see, what you want to see people get out of the book.
Yeah. So I decided, I could have written another book that was like about coaching and just about my framework, but I took a step back. I've been going through my own self journey of healing, which has been a very interesting journey, which you will see in the book as well. But I realized in the moment that, I talk about people helping to build others' empires, right? And now it's time to build your own. Well, I took a step back and said, there's always two sides to that person. It's the personal side and the professional side. And how many of us, all the time will say, I'm this way at work, I'm that way in my personal life. And I wanted to tell both sides of Shakita, because the personal and the professional side of me helped me build multi-billion-dollar companies. So, I wanted to show that there's another side of Shakita, and that was always at the table. Even though I hit her a little bit, she was always there, and together it has contributed to some major successes for Fortune 500 companies. And don't miss out on that part, because in this new era of, being a CEO and founder and a creator, I decided I don't want to leave personal Shakita behind. I want both of her to have the seat at the table. And so that's important to me. So I wanted to write about it in the book. So you'll also get personal stories about my life, honest, real, raw stories, and then how it impacted me in my particular projects or works, or even the scale of my career.
Well, can you share one of those stories and how it has impacted?
Yeah, so I'll share probably one that's really more raw and recent for me.
Okay.
So, I just turned, I was like, when did I turn? I just turned 47 in April, right? And the reason why turning 47 was so significant for me is because my mom actually passed away at the age of 46. So, and you'll read about it in the story, but we had spent a wonderful weekend together. At the time I lived in Columbus, Ohio. She lived still in Dayton, Ohio. I took her back home. We were saying our goodbyes. And if you know the distance between Columbus and Dayton, it's only like 45 minutes to an hour. Within that time, she had passed away from a cardiac arrest. So she had a sudden heart attack. And the reason why turning 47 was so significant, because I had reached an age that my mom did not get to see. And again, that personal side had an impact on my professional. So when I turned 47, this passion to really be like, I'm going to do me. I'm going to do what I'm passionate about. I'm going to step away from corporate America. I'm going to help other people. I'm going to tap into my own talents, my skills. And that was the combination of it coming together. And so that's just one example of your personal journey can also impact your professional. But when you have those two things together, just how powerful that can be.
Yes, and that is very powerful.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is. I mean, that's just the fact that you were able to see it. Because oftentimes we move past those things and we're just like, okay, I'm past it. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah.
But to slow down, and it kind of goes back to your framework, right?
Yes.
Is what's in your framework. You see it. What was it? See it, score
You
it.
see it, score it. See it, score it, scale it, and sustain
And
it.
sustain it.
Because that's important too. That's why I added that fourth layer, because not only is it the diagnosis and then you score to help you prioritize, then you're scaling, right? Because then you transform the state and where you're beginning and scale to the state and where you want to go. But once you're there, the businesses that really thrive are the ones that can sustain.
Wow.
So that's why I added that fourth
makes
layer.
so much
because you can't
sense.
just stop as soon as you hit your first success. No, you as an entrepreneur, and if you really want to continue to grow and be in existence, you want to know, how do I sustain it when the next big tech thing comes out, or the next, God forbid, but the next change in the economy happens. How do you sustain it? And so that's why I made sure with Mindvelocity, it was see it, it was score it, it was scale it, and then it was sustain it.
And that makes such a good point, because many businesses, I mean, restaurants, we see so many restaurants that start and then they close.
Yes.
So sustainability is so very important, but I wonder if a lot of businesses even focus on sustaining as much as scaling.
That's good.
Yeah, we're always chasing the next dollar, right? But nobody talks about the contingency plans.
The contingency plan,
right? When you do have another shutdown or something else is happening, how do you have something to fall back on? But also, how do you have creativity to thrive even when the rest of the economy is not?
Yes,
that's so good.
That is so
that's
good.
So good. So now I got to ask: is that stuff in your book?
Yes. I'm throwing those gems in there as well. Yes, I am. And then one of the things through this journey of writing the book, I decided that I needed to create this community. So one of the things I'm also doing in July is opening up kind of cohorts. So they will get this kind of enterprise grade coaching that I have experienced and really help them to fine tune their business. So applying the same framework and then putting it specifically into your business. So that's another passion of mine that I decided to also do starting in July as well.
So how will the cohorts play out? How will that work?
That's a great question. So the book comes out June 26th, right?
June 26th, guys.
And so what I'm actually going to start a series of webinars, because I realize that people are starting to know AI, but I want to take them to the next level, right? Because there's some things that are happening in the next 6 months, and I'm like, how do we position ourselves that before you hear about it, you're already thinking about it, right? So you can be, I like to say, a seat at the table, like, right?
Correct.
A seat at the table. So I want to host those webinars, but what's different with the cohort is creating this community. So I imagine it's going to be between 20 and 25 people that I just start with. And I think the smaller communities is the right niche right now for me.
Yes.
Because then you get more attention. Then I get to know more about your business. Then you get a more structure, or I like to say a white glove kind of blueprint of what's within. So it's still applying the framework. So behind the book, I also have Activate Intelligent Logic, which is my software. So the software gives you the assessment, it helps prioritize, and it also builds a 90-day roadmap for you. So with the cohort, it's blending the book, the framework itself, the mental model and philosophy with my weekly coaching, as well as the cohort or community of those like-minded individuals. And then you have the software as a service as the engine that's helping to keep it going forward for your business.
That's
so
fabulous.
Good. That's so good.
That's fabulous.
How much did AI play in the creation of all of these things that you are talking about here?
Everything, right? So, I've actually had a unique position of being part of the chief of staff organization for a VP of technology. So I have seen it firsthand when you have like hundreds, maybe even thousands in our case, of like developers, data engineers, architects at your fingertips. And, projects used to take us 2 to 3 years to get it done. Right. And that was after you had to deal with the politics to get your project prioritized. So I've seen that. The power of AI is thinking about all of like the coding, the analytics, the thought, the architecture. It can be done like this.
Yes.
You can put a prompt in and it'll give you something. I'm not saying it's always the right thing, but it will give you what you need to do in a matter of a clicking of a button.
Yeah.
So think about that transformation. So with me, what it has done for me personally is all of that brain power I had, the projects that used to get a no because I didn't have the right ear. Well, I built it myself.
Right. That's it.
I built it myself, right?
Yeah.
And then where I need to partner, then I partner, right? So it's allowing people to take a thought and then really make it a reality, or at least a prototype. And that's powerful in itself. So, yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Have you created AI agents to work on? Yeah. Tell me more about that.
Yes. I'm letting the little jewels out here tonight.
But here again, if you need that service, just know. She right here, y'all.
Yes. So, yes, I actually have 26 agents running my company. And the reason why I say running is because I have actually not only trained them for specific skills and depths and set up guardrails. So they have job descriptions. They know what they should and should not do, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Just like if you were hiring a person, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I've created 26 of those agents, but beyond just the agents, I created organizations.
Wow.
So what is so important about creating the agents? It's no different than running a business.
Right.
You will have departments, right?
Correct.
And you will have a head of that department.
Yeah.
So I've created that mental model of an enterprise with my agents, but I went one step further. I make them talk to each other.
Ooh.
So they actually talk to each other, and we if anybody's been in Slack or Teams and you know how you chat with your people, my agents do that,
That is
with
so
me.
good.
That is so awesome.
That is so
Yes.
So, Shakita, as we're wrapping up, tell us, what do you see as far as women leading in AI?
I think, to be honest, in my 20 plus years, I remember being not only like the only black person in the room, but I remember being the only female in the room. And even after 20 plus years of seeing it, there's been cohorts, there's been ERGs, there's been everything that you can think of that always had the statement of how can women be at the table. And what I feel like what's unique is that AI is you don't have to wait to be invited. You actually show up. And so I think that's what's going to make the difference right now. And so even if you might be timid, you might be scared, you might not be as outward as I am, and that's okay. But as long as you open up that URL, practice on your own time, and continue to learn, you don't have to wait for somebody to invite you to the table. You can actually show up with the table with everything that you know and probably know more than anybody else. And I think that's a powerful position for women, and especially black women, that we have not always gotten a fair play at this. And now this is right now ain't nobody asking if you black, white, or whoever.
Right.
When you sign up for Claude, you have access. Now, I do also want to say that I realize as this technology evolves and maybe the price goes up, right, then we have to think about the impact there. But right now, while it's kind of like, in some cases, free 99,
right.
What's stopping you?
Facts.
Yeah.
What's stopping you?
There are a lot of people who are talking about the bias in AI because the men are developing, it's geared more towards men. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think that's very important. And we're not even, to be honest, it's not even just men. It's certain demographics and countries that have actually been behind the true building of it, right? You see a face of the big corporations, but behind the scenes, there are certain countries that are building these capabilities. And of course, if you come from tech, the person behind the developer has their own style, personality, and that is mixed into it, right? And so there is that real risk of bias. I think what you're starting to see with some of the those that want to, especially for a lot of the big LLM companies, they are creating the space of partnerships, fellowships to bring a little more diversity, because in order for their business to really sustain, they have to start to look at the global scale. And so that means that you have to have diversity behind what is the models, what's the math, what's the data, what's the architecture of that technology. And so I think you're going to see more of that. But again, in order to be a part of that table, you have to have done something, right? I can't just show up and I never use Claude, right? So, and so I'm saying do the work now, because the technology is still growing and you still have that opportunity to be a part of making sure that the next wave of technology eliminates that bias as much as possible.
That is so good.
That is
so
good.
where can we find your book?
Yes. So right now you can get it for pre-order at Amazon. So what I've done is really and I'm excited to say I've already made 9 bestseller lists. Yes. So as a part of the community that's trusting me to pre-order, you're getting the ebook, I would say, at a significant discount. So go and check it out. Right now, it's only $2.97 for the ebook. Once the book drop, it is going to $29.97. So get it now. And again, I wanted to just share this knowledge with as many people as possible. You can also find more details on themindvelocity.com. So themindvelocity.com. If you go to the website, it has a link for the book, but also kind of my speaking platforms as well. And then I'm going to actually be sharing even more information about webinars and additional like cohorts that I build over the next few months.
Well, awesome. That has, I'm excited. I'm so excited and so ready for this book. I'm going to have to go get my book ordered. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm
going to give y'all signed copies. Yes. Women leading AI, right? Yes. Women leading AI, people.
Yes. Shakita, talk to the women and encourage them about getting more involved in AI.
I'm going to talk, I feel like I got to talk to 2 different type of women,
Okay.
right? So if you are the go-getter, big thinker, big dreamer, my comment to you is put all those thoughts down in AI and watch it work its magic and help you prioritize and narrow what you need to go after first, right? I'm one of those people, right? And I could keep building forever, but I was like, it's time to narrow it down and get something going. And so I want to encourage you to don't lose that big thinking, because it is amazing and that's part of the power of AI. But go ahead and put your thoughts down so that AI gives you the steps to guide you. Now for those, because like I said, there's 2 types. There might be someone that's like a little more introvert, right? And you're like, I want to do it, I just don't know where to start. Or maybe you're doubting yourself. For those that are doubting yourself, I want to say do not doubt yourself, because a lot of these companies have started by people failing. So what if you're the very person that has the big next $1 billion ideal and you're letting your fear stop you? And the great thing about AI, you can brain dump your fear into AI.
Yep.
Nobody really has to know. Well, nobody but, maybe if it's in some data. But nobody really has to know that you brain dump your fear into AI, and then it can still give you a blueprint.
Yeah.
So it starts with where you are. And so whether you're the go-getter that you need to narrow down, or you're the one it takes you a little bit of a push to get out there, just use AI. Start today. Do not be afraid, and try one thing.
That is so good. That is so good. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for showing up. We are really trying to encourage women to lead in AI, and we hope that woman is you. God bless.